Hello there, running ears. It's Manny again, and we really don't have much going on right now. It's just one of those lull weeks where. What? I'm reading the wrong script? Okay, I guess we're going to try that again. Hello, running ears, and we got a lot of stuff going on. Better? Great. Okay, we got a lot of stuff going on. We got Springtime Surprise coming up in a little over a week. So we'll be flying out there. We have registration for Walt Disney World Marathon starting next week. And as of today, the Legacy runners and the Club Run Disney runners have already started registering. And as a matter of fact, and I'll go over this in a different video, but the charities have also started picking people up. So that's what's going on in Walt Disney World Marathon. And as said before in a previous video, the last video as a matter of fact, Disneyland seems to open up. Now it seems to only be the half marathon, but it seems like once a day now, the half marathon opens up. So guys, remember I always say prioritize. So guys, if you want to do a 10K at Disneyland, and you might want to change over to the half, or if your heart is set on the Dumbo Double Dare, you didn't get into anything, you might want to change your mind and say, all right, at least I'll do the half marathon. Remember guys, the half marathon does it is part of the coast to coast. So if you do the half marathon and you do a half marathon at Disney World, any of them, then you are part of the coast to coast. So guys, that's basically what's going on before we get into Springtime Surprise. But before we do, guys, this channel has been growing and growing and growing, and I really want it to grow for next season, and again, be able to go on live and stuff. So we're gonna add a lot of stuff going on. But guys, please subscribe to the channel. Remember, this is your channel, guys. A lot of the topics that we cover is because of you guys putting down questions down below. We are also on Facebook, and I'm very accessible on Facebook, as a lot of you have found out. You reach out to me, and thank you guys for reaching out to me directly, and I will answer. Sometimes I take a little bit because I do have a little bit of life outside of this. So guys, but I will answer this. But guys, I keep saying this is your channel. Because of you guys, this channel will continue to grow. But guys, thank you very much for being who you are. And without further ado, let's get to today's topic. So the first thing that came out was the course maps. And let's take a look. So the 5K, which is Cars based, we start outside of Epcot. We finish outside of Epcot. But if you notice, we run inside of Epcot. We exit before Spaceship Earth. For the 10K, though, we start again outside of Epcot. We finish outside of Epcot, almost the same place. But we actually run through Epcot, and we also run through the boardwalk. Now, for the 10K, we actually start again and finish in almost in the same place. But if you notice, once we get into the run, we do run into Hollywood Studios, which I think is amazing, and I'll tell you why. Now, basically, they're the same maps from last year. So the things that I would point out is that possibly, because we are going to be running inside of Hollywood Studios. So guys, we're going to be running inside Toy Story Land. So be prepared to see most of the Toy Story characters. I mean, it's ironic that's the 10-mile run. We're going to be running into Toy Story Land. So when it comes to characters, when people say, I don't know, again, people will, they actually drive before, and they can actually see where the stops are, and they can see what character is going to be there. For sure, we do know that there is going to be Toy Story characters at Toy Story Land during the 10-miler. So guys, it was also released via email, and you can get it. I don't know if it's on the site yet, but the event guide link, and so that got emailed out. If I go to the site, I couldn't see it. There was no link, or at least no live link yet. But let's see what the email showed us. So when we click on the link, we first get taken to the welcome letter by the Vice President of ESPN. And if we click on the Digital Expo, we can see some interesting things. So we see what we're going to be seeing there. So obviously Run Disney will be there promoting their runs. You can see actually some of the medals there too. Make-A-Wish is going to be there. You can start seeing as we go back down. You get Typhoon Lagoon, 50% off. Advent Health. Go to Advent Health, guys. They got some really cool stickers. Citizen, Dasani water, some of the sponsors that are going to be there, the water that we get at the end of the run. Exelon, I think, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Enterprise Rent-A-Car will be there. Again, some of these booths have some pretty good stuff. Some of them have giveaways. The Stinger, the Honey Stinger are actually pretty good. Now the one on the right, it's basically it's a newer one where you can actually have your medals frame. There is Jeff Galloway. Who doesn't love Jeff Galloway? That's actually pretty cool. The other one, I meant to go talk to them because it's pretty cool that you can get part of your medal. You can get it, so it's a little tag that helps with that, but helps identify the run. But guys, you can see the rest of the sponsors of the digital guide. We go back all the way to the top, and we're gonna hit on the events. So the event link, and so we're gonna be able to go over all the events. So they have health and the fitness, the yoga. So let's click on the yoga first. So the yoga will be at Hollywood Studios, and it basically gives you the outline. So guys, if you're gonna be doing the yoga, make sure that you read this thoroughly. It tells you when to get there, what to take, you know, where to park, so forth and so on. So guys, you at least know that. So before asking any questions, just look at this link right here. But you see it also has its own link with the transportation, so forth and so on. But let's go by one. So the 5K is going to be the first one. As racing etiquette, reminders, spectator viewing. We're not going to go over all of them because some of them we already went over, especially like the maps. Transportation, they have the minivan connected by Lyft. So again, if you guys need transportation the morning of, guys, you already know where you can look for it. Again, here goes all the maps, the staging area, the spectator lot, so forth and so on. They have them all here, and the virtual exhibitors all the way down. So guys, let's go over a few of them here. So let's click on reminders. Reminders here are very, very basic. You know, what you got to do here. So it gives information for drivers, for resort guests. Participants need to arrive at the Epcot parking lot by on Friday, April 14th by 4 a.m. So that's very important. You're going to have a security check, guys. We already know that before you get to the start group or before you get to the start line. So you're going to be able to check in. There's going to be a security check that usually we go through Epcot, get that done. And of course, there's also the bag check. And so we'll go over that later. So little things to me that are important is make sure that your bib is accessible, that people can see it. You're not supposed to cover it with shirts, jackets, winter gear. Guys, if it's cool that morning and you're going to layer up, make sure that you can see your bib or at least have access to lift your shirt so you can see the bib. But there's little things like this. All this information is going to be here for you so you can read it. So no start groups changes will be made at the Run Disney Health and Fitness Expo or the races. And to fill out your emergency information on the back of your shirt, on back of the bib, I should say. Race etiquette. This one should be easy, and of course I'll make another video about race etiquette. I find this one pretty funky, but it's going to be something very, very simple. Just make sure that you treat other runners with courteous on the course. Make sure that you listen to the pre-race instructions, both digital and verbal, because it will tell us, you know, about the pacing requirements, all that stuff. Again, make sure that you have your bib on at all times. If your bib falls off, they may ask you to leave the course. So move over to the side if someone behind you says, excuse me, or coming through. Don't get mad at them either. But again, it says feel free to shout out words of encouragement. And guys, you guys know as a running ears that's all we do on the course. We encourage people. We're nice to people. I've actually gotten people feedback saying, hey, this is so cool that you were doing this. So thank you very much for doing that. But now that we've gone over racing etiquette, let's click off and let's say more stuff. We are going to go back and we're going to look at the 10K. So guys, Monsters, Inc. is one of my favorite all-time movies. Not only for Pixar and Disney, but all-time. So let's continue looking here. Let's do spectator viewing. Spectator viewing is going to be for those of you guys who have family and friends who are going to be looking here. So guys, it says here again, start line accessible at 5 a.m. To 6 a.m. and the finish line is accessible 5:20 to 8 p.m. 5:20 a.m. to 8 a.m. Don't go there at 8 p.m. So be safe, guys, when you're out there when you're spectating. Listen to. There's also going to be instructions, so be safe, guys. Don't obstruct anybody's run. You know, again, you're more than welcome to make signs. I think signs are really, really cool. Make them clear so that we can read them because we love reading them, and of course, I'm going to record them. So let's go back to the original pace and run tracking. That is not open yet, but that should be open up shortly. So you can do some run tracking. Let's go ahead and scroll down. Again, we see the maps. We're not going to go over the course maps because we've already done that. Virtual exhibitor. But let's go all the way back, and we are going to scroll down and look at the 10 miler. Again, it's going to be the same basic things: a race etiquette, reminders, spectators, transportation, the course maps. They have different kinds of maps, so you can look at it. Photo pass also. But spectator viewing, when I looked at this is not much different than the other ones. I thought this one, the only difference is the times. So accessible, the start from 5 to 6:20 a.m. and the finish from 5:40 to 9 a.m. And finally, we're just going to look at the last one, which is just important information, guys. And of course, we can see costume guidelines. Guys, this one's pretty easy. Nothing sharp. Nothing that looks like a weapon. They won't let you do that. Nothing that is dragging. Those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my face, because I'm thinking you can't cover your face either. That's on the top of my mind. So it's also on top of my face, but you cannot cover your face. So you have to be seen. But basically, it's the same thing, and it brings us all to, there's race day information. There's weather, flag guidelines. Those are very interesting. So race days, so there's a gear check. You can see that, so you can check your gear. There's going to be food and beverages. Some of them you have to pay for, but guys, go all the way to the back and you can get some free water. Yes, guys, you got at the front. You're going to pay when you go back to where the runners are runners only. You're going to get some free water back there. There's water stops there. So let's look at anything else that we can look at. Medical is going to be real easy. There's going to be medical tents throughout the run. That's Advent Health. Guys, also go to Advent Health because you can get some really cool stickers. Weather, guys, I've already seen that it's going to be nice and muggy that day. It might start off cool, but I call it deceivingly cool. So, guys, just dress accordingly. If you feel cold, we're going to go over this in a little bit. But, guys, make sure that you have layers to where you can shred stuff, so that way you can keep your body core temperature not too hot and you can continue running. Flag guidelines. This is a very interesting one because they do have color codes. And guys, most of the time we run, it's I believe it's a green. So the green is basically we can run. We're fine. Oh, the flag guidelines. I'm sorry. Flag guidelines are flags. You cannot have anything longer than or no bigger than 3 by 5. Is that feet? Yeah, that's feet, regardless how the flag is. So that's very, very important. So a lot of people like to run with flags, which I think it each their own, and everybody likes to do that. That's fine. Event waivers, we're going to go over that shortly because you should have already signed it, and you're going to get your Expo Pass off of that. And let's see, that basically covers everything. So let's continue. And guys, to me, the biggest takeaway is there's a few of them actually. So number one is going to be is that it looks like the parking lot, as usual, closes out at 4. So guys, plan accordingly. You're going to be parking in Epcot, and you got to be there by 4 because after that, it closes down. It won't open up again until after the run. So guys, if you're going to be driving yourself there and say, I'll just head out over there and get there by about 4:30, they might close it on you. So guys, please plan accordingly. The other thing that stood out, because this happened at Walt Disney World Marathon weekend, was that they do close the corrals. And if you noticed, it basically says that Corral A will close 20 minutes ahead of time. Corral B will be 10 minutes ahead of time. That means probably the C, D, E probably will stay open, so you can go into those, guys. But guys, if don't do this, or don't make this mistake where you just sit there going like, I'm just going to do this, I'm going to hang out, I'm going to get there whenever I want to, and then when they tell you you cannot get into Corral A, again, it's not their fault. They're going to start moving the corrals. If you notice, they start moving the corrals A, especially early on, then B, so we can get everybody there. Guys, just follow the rules, guys. And if you don't get there in time, what I suggest is follow the rules. Get into the corral that you can get into. And if you're worried about time or anything, go to the front. Try to get yourself to the front of the corral, especially, or front of the wave. So guys, you can do that. But guys, please be nice to the cast members, and I don't want to see what happened back at Walt Disney World Marathon happen again. But guys, those are the points that I want to bring out. So let's move on. So guys, we also know that we're going to be using a virtual queue to do the merchandise for day one. After that, it is open. So for day one, they're going to be a virtual queue, and it basically operates exactly like Ratatouille used to do, the Rise of the Resistance used to do, and right now they're doing it for Guardians of the Galaxy, and just started today for Tron. So guys, I'll give a quick example on how to use it. So guys, from your My Disney Experience app, you're going to scroll down to virtual queues. The virtual queues will usually take you to the ones, the flavor of the day. On the very top, there's going to be a plus button. So you click that plus button and it's going to give you your variation. So right here I have Tron and I have Guardians of the Galaxy. But yours will look more like this. Run Disney Merchandise Shop. It'll actually read out ESPN Wild World of Sports Complex like you see right here. Then it's going to ask you to confirm your party. So the party has to be on the app. So once you confirm your party, you will go down to the bottom and you will refresh at the time that it's supposed to start. So usually it starts about an hour or so before the expo opens up, and then you get your waiting group just like you would for any of the above mentioned rides. So guys, it's just like anything else. Be quick, be patient, get in there as quickly as you can, get in there as efficiently as you can, then wait your turn and get in there and get some merchandise if you want some. With that said, guys, merchandise, the only thing that has not dropped yet, and it will probably drop early next week, later this week maybe, but for sure by early next week, is going to be the merchandise, and it's going to give you a preview to the merchandise. So either look on the Facebook page, remember it's Facebook Run in Ears, you're going to ask to join the group. I'll put out what is put out there, and of course I'll always make a video of the expo, and I always make a video. I always go in there, I buy my stuff, then I go little by little, and I learned this today watching Resort TV 1. Josh and Jenna are fantastic. If you ever want to watch this live streaming, they're great. Resort TV 1, but they went into Tron and they went over everything, including pricing. So I'm going to try to follow their lead because they do such an awesome job. But again, I'll record it and I'll put it out the day of. But so far, nothing has dropped on merchandise. And the last thing is going to be the Expo Pass, and again, that hasn't been brought out yet. It'll probably be early next week. So guys, I'll just show you an example of how to get that. So guys, you'll get an email and you click on the link, or if not, you can go to your registration and it'll read like this: Get Check-In Pass. Once you click on the Get Check-In Pass, it'll check you in, take a screenshot, it'll have your bib number, and you'll be ready to go. So guys, that's real simple. That's basically what's going to be going on. But I also wanted to do this. This is a short interview with Coach Nick again. I've been seeing online that the weather looks like it's actually going to cool down about the expo time, and then it's going to start getting back up. And so I reached out to Coach Nick and I said, Coach Nick, you live there. What can we expect? And here is the interview. All right, guys, we have Coach Nick with us again, who's been nice and gracious enough to give us some of his time, because he lives in Florida and I don't, unfortunately. And so he has insight, and we were talking earlier, and we came up, he was giving me some really good ideas about running. So first off, I know you guys are like I am. We were looking at the weather, and weather looks like it's going to be about mid-60s during the runs to start off with. During the day, it's going to get up a little bit higher, but again, we're going to be doing early morning at 10-miler. This is where I'm going to pass it over to Coach Nick. Coach Nick, what do you have to say about the weather going on in Florida?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say about Florida is you can't always trust the weather report. Some days it's supposed to stay nice and cool and it ends up being 80. Other days, just the other day here in Florida, it was about 30 degrees in the morning. So you really sort of need to prepare for anything, especially around this time, right, the March, April time frame. So just be prepared, bring a couple extra layers, especially when you're standing in that corral. You'll probably spend about an hour there before the race at least. 60 degrees even can feel kind of cold when you're just standing there in the dark. If it's a little wet, so bring a couple layers. You can always take them off. Disney donates them, as I'm sure you know. The other kind of interesting thing about 60 degrees is for every degree over 60 degrees, the average person running slows down about 4 to 5 seconds per lap. So that might not seem hot, but when you're running, it gets hot for your body, especially if you're used to training in colder weather, in the 40s and 50s. So just take that into account when you're starting out and you're planning your race. So now if it does get hot, right, it gets up into the mid 70s or the 80s, there's a couple things you can do. You can't change the heat. You can't cool down the weather. So you need to adapt what you're doing. So there's really two ways you can do that. You can slow down, right? Like I said, about 4 seconds per degree over 60, or you can cool down. And as runners, there's two ways you can cool down. You can shed layers, right, which we just talked about, or you can add water. You can add water in you or on you. So I recommend at every water stop, put 1 cup of water in you, 1 cup of water on you. And there's a couple of ways that you can help add that water to yourself, right? So there's some things that I like to wear when I'm running, especially when it's going to be hot. One is a hat, right? This is my favorite hat. It's called Sprints. They make a bunch of different funky designs, so it's cool. It's nice and lightweight, adjustable, right? It's great. So one thing I'll do is I'll stop, grab the water, dump it in my hat, throw it right back on my head. That keeps your head nice and cool. Right? The other thing I like to bring is one of these towels here. So this one I actually got from a marathoner recently, right? They were giving them out. But it's just a cool towel. They have them on Amazon. They're only a couple of bucks. And I'll do the same thing. Is I'll put this in my waistband when I'm running in the beginning. As I start to get hot, and I run up to a drink station, just throw some water on it, squeeze it out. Then you can throw it around your neck like this. And one thing I like to do is actually throw it under my hat. However you can get it under there. And then it sort of stays on you and it keeps you nice and cool. So those are two things that I really like. The other thing I recommend is get yourself one of these. This is just a little silicone band. A water bottle goes right in it. You can use it with a plastic water bottle or a reusable water bottle. But what I like to do is bring a plastic water bottle with me. Put this right just around your hands like anything else. The water bottle sits in there, it stays there, you don't have to hold on to it. Now you have some extra water for the beginning of the race. So you can keep yourself hydrated early as opposed to trying to catch up later. And then when you're done, this thing's only about $2, so you can just throw it to the side. I'm sure Disney would donate this too. And you don't have to worry about losing an expensive water bottle that you purchased. So that's what I recommend in terms of specific things to do. A couple general ideas is try to cool yourself down, either shed layers or add water before you get hot. So as soon as you start feeling comfortable to a little bit warm, take that first layer off. And think about how you're layering, right? You want to put the short sleeve and the lighter layers underneath, and the long sleeves and heavier layers on the outside, so it's easier to take off. You're not trying to take one thing off and put something else back on. So that's what I would recommend.
Thank you. That's actually awesome. Ironically enough, you were talking about the weather. You can't change the weather, and I just saw a program yesterday where it was Disney executives were talking about some of the weirdest things that they get asked to do. And this is not a joke. When the people get mad, they said, "Can you stop the rain?" Apparently, a lot of people think that Disney has like this dome that they press a button and it protects them from the dome. So guys, listen to Coach Nick, because there is no dome around Disney. And so even though I guess there's a rumor out there, I'd never heard of that rumor until I saw that yesterday. But I thought that was pretty interesting. So Coach Nick, we're gonna kind of transition over to. We have noticed that there's a lot of new runners and new runners, just in general, new runners to Disney, or new runners in quite a while. They haven't done a run since the pandemic and stuff. So there's excitement. Obviously, you and I know how excited people are and stuff. Do you have any suggestions, any tips, any tricks for those people?
Yeah. So that really what you're talking about there is race strategy. So you never want to go into a race, or really any run, but particularly a race where your emotions are running high, there's a lot of adrenaline, without a plan. So you want to plan, right, what you're going to run in terms of your pace, what you're going to do in terms of your hydration and your nutrition, and that should all be stuff that you practiced, right? If you're looking forward to Springtime Surprise, you still got a couple of runs left, so if you haven't practiced your hydration and your nutrition, do that. But the most common thing you see with beginner runners or people who are really excited to be Disney for the first time, for example, is going up too fast, right? You get caught up in the corral. Maybe you get caught up and you can't run as quickly as you want to the first mile, and you want to make up your time over the next 2 miles. Or you in a a good corral, a little bit faster than you want to actually run, and everyone around you goes out real fast and you try to keep up. Well, try to avoid that, right? Stick to your pace for the first mile, and actually what I like to do is I like to go 30 seconds a mile slower for the first mile, just so I know I'm not going out too fast, right? It'll feel like you're dragging and like you're running in sludge, but just take that first mile slow. It'll really, really help you out later on in those last few miles of the race. The other thing that you want to plan for in the race strategy is if it does get warm or you're not doing well, you're just not feeling well that day, nothing's going right, switch down to your B plan, right? Which is just another accomplishable goal. You still be proud of it, but it's just not quite as fast as your A plan. And enjoy Disney. One of the great things about Disney is there's characters every half a mile or so. Go stop and say hi to Mickey, say hi to Donald. Go get those pictures. It'll give you a nice breather. You can still run in between everything. You feel great. You got a bunch of souvenirs, and everybody had a great time. So that's what I would recommend. Making that plan in advance.
Well, yeah, I would love to go say hi to Mickey, so I'm for that plan. Last thing is there is some people that are concerned about they didn't train as well for whatever reason. They're undertrained or not even trained at all. They're going to go out there and run it anyways. Do you have any suggestions for these people?
Yeah, so the springtime isn't as big a deal if you're not trained. Right, we're only talking about 10 miles. We're not talking about 26. So it's a decent race that you can still do if you're undertrained. But the biggest thing you got to do is be careful. The most common types of injuries that runners get are called too much too soon injuries, where you try to increase your distance too much in too short of a time period. Things like shin splints, IT bands, a lot of problems with your knees and the tendons in your knees and your ankles. So those are all the things you can get. So just take it slow. Probably want to look into a run-walk method, right, where you run 2 minutes, walk 1 minute, just to keep your body from taking too much abuse. And just listen to your body. If you start to feel tired, take a walk break, or go say hi to Mickey, walk through your water stops, that sort of thing. But once you get too tired, I think last time I was talking about the lactate threshold, once you surpass that, it's very difficult to come back from it. But if you catch it before you've reached your lactate threshold, it's much easier to recover and then continue on. So pay attention to your body, take it nice and slow, probably slower than you want to, and rest before you think you have to.
Thank you, Coach Nick. That was great. One last thing before we let you go on with your day is people will have more questions. How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me is my website. It's fullspeedruncoaching.com, or you can just send me an email directly, fullspeedruncoaching@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Coach Nick. We look forward to seeing you at a run and, of course, talking to you later. So, guys, if you have any more questions for Coach Nick, put them down in the comments down below. Thank you, Coach Nick.
Thanks, man.
Have a good day.
Yes, sir.
So, guys, thank you, Coach Nick. Please thank Coach Nick for all his insights. Reach out to him with any questions. Of course, you can reach out to me also if you have any questions. Guys, but I was going to just say is I have been reading online saying start hydrating now. Basically, guys, live hydrated. That's going to be the best thing. I mean, that's best for your health anyway. So when people say, well, start hydrating now, well, that's kind of backwards. You should already be hydrating, especially if you're training. So, guys, just continue hydrating. It's probably the best way of saying it. But besides that, guys, do you guys have any questions? What do you guys think about the course maps? What do you think about the virtual queue? Anything stand out? Anything that you want to see with merchandise that has been there before, maybe might not be there again? Any questions for Coach Nick? Any questions for myself? Please put them down below, guys. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I will do a video later this week with, again, the tips and the tricks for Walt Disney World Marathon sign-up registration, which is coming up. And possibly if merchandise has been coming out, or it has come out then I'll make sure I put it out. But besides, guys, I want to thank you guys as usual. Thank you, guys. Create a magical day, create a magical run, and guys, see you sooner than later.